And what about plastics and pharmaceuticals now in the water? The team at Culligan is here to help. Culligan offers water testing and reverse osmosis systems designed to filter out those contaminants right at the source. Culligan has been helping the local community with water issues since 1936. Schedule your appointment today at Culligan.com.
Hey, Culligan man!
Anna Jar and Levine.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 1063.
WUUB Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station. We interrupt our regularly scheduled program for this special presentation of Inter Miami Soccer on ESPN 1063. The pink smoke is in the air. That means legendary goals.
Oh, it's a cannon shot! Go ahead and give him the goal of the week!
Heroic saves.
Outstanding point-blank save! You are denied.
Inter Miami Soccer is on ESPN 1063.
Goal de Messi!
This is Pink Smoke, brought to you by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865. Here's Mike Rizzo.
Our Inter Miami Herons, big winners in a huge matchup over the weekend. The Columbus Crew going down in the state of Ohio to our Inter Miami Herons. Herons now third on that MLS table. But we got to keep in mind, Herons have a game in hand. They've only played 8 games. Charlotte and FC Cincinnati, who are sitting in front of them, all have 9 games played. Welcome on in, folks, to Pink Smoke, where we talk everything Inter Miami. Had a lot of fun watching that game up in Cleveland. I still don't understand how the Columbus Crew did not find the back of the net in the game, but I am not complaining. Joining me this week, our good friend Damian Perez, back behind the glass, hitting the ones and twos for me. Dame, what a game it was up there in Cleveland, Ohio.
What a game, and we expected it to be a great game, but I never expected a 1-0. I thought that was going to be a back-and-forward game. I definitely expected more than one goal in the game. And, I mean, hey, Inter Miami, wherever they go, it seems to be that they break the record in attendance. I believe it was 60,000.
Yep.
Broken record for the Columbus Crew.
It was like 30-something before that, right?
Yeah, something crazy. I feel like like I said, everywhere in Inter Miami and Messi
I mean, they doubled the population in the attendance because of the great one.
But nonetheless, great game, very important game. Like you said, this is a direct rival in the Eastern Conference. It's also important because we have one less game. They have a game in hand, or we have a game in hand. So very important to win these games and distance yourself from the competition, especially when it's a team like Columbus Crew. And to beat them in Ohio is also a huge plus because now they got to come and play in Miami.
Let's do a little Messi Mania presented by our good friends at PNC.
It's time for a little Messi Mania on Pink Smoke, presented by PNC Bank. The latest match results, highlights, and everything Messi starts now. Brought to you by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865. Learn more at PNC.com. PNC Bank, National Association member FDIC.
Appreciate our good friends over at PNC. Folks, our new segment here on Pink Smoke. We'll Messi Mania. Talk everything Inter Miami. Catch you guys up on exactly what happened over this past week within the Inter Miami realm. Coming up tomorrow, we do have the first fixture in Vancouver. We have Inter Miami traveling to Vancouver. Looking forward to breaking that one down coming up next week. But only one game for our Herons over the weekend, and it was this Columbus Crew game. Let's get into some of the highlights here. Our good friend Ken Levica, obviously on the call, folks. He is the voice of the Inter Miami Herons. He is the one making all of these great calls. The Columbus Crew started things off with their first chance in the first half. Cut number 3, D.
Starry was off his line, has to retreat back in front of his goal. He was all the way left border of the box. Now Gazdag, left wing, just outside the area, sends it to the left side of the box. Arfsted got around Weigand, floats across to the far post right side, took a deflection off a head, winding up, and a left-footed shot was blocked, but the job not done, and finally Columbus possession over as Weigand is able to shield Arfsted off the ball and it rolls across the end line for an Ustari goal kick.
Now, this is going to be a common theme with the highlights, folks. The Columbus Crew had 3 expected goals in the game. Let me say that again. The Crew had 3 XG, as us footballers say. And to not score a goal with 3 XG is pretty incredible, folks. Let's hear cut number 1, the second chance of the first half for the Columbus Crew.
Well done by Jordy Alba to get in front of a pass, but it falls right to a Columbus Crew player. Here's a chip from right of the 6-yard box up and over. Gazdag was trying to beat a sprawling Ustari. It went up over the crossbar. That attack was all set up by Steven Moreira. He played it perfectly right side of the box to Gazdag, and the high-profile trade acquisition of Columbus. He punched it high and wide of Ustari's goal, 1v1 in his first start in a Columbus shirt.
That's not the last time we're going to hear from Daniel Gazdag either. He missed a clear-cut chance in the second half as well. And Damian, Gazdag is a player where usually he's finishing chances like that he had against our Inter Miami Herons.
Yeah, coming in from Philadelphia, this was the guy that Columbus kind of bought to be there for those situations. Not the best debut. I mean, it's tough to debut.
Wasn't. Let's be honest.
It's tough to debut against Inter Miami at the end of the day, but you kind of hope that later on in the season, do we really hope? I'm sure he does, but to kind of bag these goals because that's what he was brought from Philadelphia to do.
And he wasn't the only one who struggled in this game for the Crew. Like I said, we're going to go through the highlights. And there were plenty of other players. Russell Rowe, their striker, missed a chance.
Diego Rossi.
Rossi completely blasted one over the net. He was right in front of goal. He was one-on-one with Ustari.
Thank you for that, by the way.
That's right. I said, listen, we're not complaining, folks. I'm just setting the table with you with a little Messi mania. Speaking of the legendary goal scorer, let's hear cut number 9, Damian. Messi's first chance against the Columbus Crew.
Messi off the restart, floats the ball left side of the box, and it was touched by Alba to the edge of the 6-yard area. Wanted Suarez, late marking there from Columbus, and it is deflected across the end line. This is going to be an Inter Miami corner. What a great ball from Messi. Good idea from Alba.
So Messi trying to set things up on that play. I thought he was great in this game. I say that after every single game, but I truly do. I truly do think this was a great game for Messi. Now, let's fast forward to kind of the endish of the first half. Messi finesse shot. So, folks, finesse shot that I say, kind of a curler, as our good buddy Ken Levicka calls it. Let's hear the Messi finesse. How about that one? Let's hear the Messi finesse that just missed in the first half right here on Messi Mania.
Here in the right, attacking third, Lionel Messi charging forward to his left foot, a curler just wide of the far post, nearly world-class striking from Messi from 30 yards. Oh, he did not miss by much. He had Nagbe on skates and he missed it by about 6 inches on the far post. But that draws oohs and ahs from this Cleveland crowd.
Oohs and ahs indeed, Ken Levicka. And you want to know what else? Drew oohs and ahs, Damian Perez, that first half goal by Kromaski, cut number 4.
Good ball, Suarez on the runaway guy. He got it right of the box, sends it, a beautiful cross, edge of the 6-yard box, a diving header goal. Ben Kromaski, how wonderful was that? We got the unlikely assist. Kromaski soaring into the play, and he beats Patrick Schulte, something out of nothing. And at the half-hour mark, it's 1-0 Inter Miami.
And spoiler alert, this one ended 1-0, and the Herons were able to hang on to victory. I mean, it was a full-on assault. And those were all the first half highlights, by the way. We're going to play the second half highlights next, but quickly, Damian, I want to get your thoughts. After that first half, I thought that Mascherano was going to play kind of more of a defensive approach, but not nearly the approach that we saw in that second half. He ended up taking guys off because the Columbus Crew were just on the ball so much in that second half. But explain to people how crazy it is to have 3 XG and to not get into the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, that's sometimes how it goes. When you find yourself as the team who scores early, it kind of gets, we like to say sweaty in soccer.
Correct.
It gets very sweaty because the other team just goes all-out attack and just looks for that goal. And that's clearly what the Columbus Crew did. And with players like Diego Rossi, who year in, year out have just absolutely never, they've absolutely smashed all their chances. They had plenty of chances this game. And there's a saying in soccer sometimes, if you don't score your chances, you watch the other team score them on you. And that's the case that happened for Columbus Crew. Thankfully, we were on the right side of that.
Two things. Goals change games, and you got to be clinical in front of net. I know it's very simple sayings, but it's true. Goals change games. How do you think that goal by Kromoski changed the game and the dynamic of the game? Columbus was dominating, and they continued to dominate in that second half. Speaking of that second half, Damian Perez, Russell Rowe, the striker for the Columbus Crew, started things off in the second half with a chance for the Crew. Cut 14.
Russell Rowe, he took a pass in the middle of the Inter Miami defense. And he thought he was fouled. The ball trickled onto Rossi. He let it fly from 23 yards out with a right foot and a diving hand save for Ustari, and he didn't give up a rebound. It should never have even come to that, Ustari having to make his save, because either A, it was a foul against Inter Miami, or a handball against Russell Rowe, who clearly touched the ball while he was on the ground, and the referee let it play on and allowed Rossi to run up and send a missile Ustari's way, but it's the second save of the day for Oscar Ustari, equal to the task once again.
Speaking of Rossi, Damian, you've mentioned him a few times on the show too. Diogo Rossi, one of the more better players on the Columbus Crew, skies a chance in the second half. Cut 12.
Swings in a low ball. It's still loose in the area. Alba fell down, and a skyward shot goes up and over Ustari's goal. Rossi was trailing from the penalty spot, and he sent it into the stratosphere.
I saw that one in the net, by the way.
This is your guy, too. He's Uruguayan.
I saw that ball bouncing, and I saw Diego Rossi. I've been seeing him play ever since he was in Uruguay with Peñarol. I saw that ball bouncing in the box, and I'm thinking, there's no way he misses this. Sure enough, over the net, just skied. I'm sure he's not sleeping after that opportunity.
Dame, it was that kind of game for the Crew. I mean, it truly was, and it continues for him. The Crew in the second half did not get any better after that. Let's go down the timeline here. Damien, cut 7. Columbus's chance in the 83rd minute.
Right foot, had that cross, it was deflected, it went onto the foot of Russell Rowe. He had it tackled from behind along the end line to the right of Ustari's goal. It's going to be a corner for Columbus, but it could have been so much worse. A fortuitous bounce off of Busquets, and it was Lujan who saved the day defensively from the backside.
Now let's hear another, cut number 8, Damien, another chance for the Columbus Crew.
It is swiped on to Chambeau. Oh, a beautiful delivery, turning left foot, sweeping left of the box. He thought he had picked out a teammate, but it's headed up and over the crossbar of Oscar Ustari, and Miami survives with the 1-0 advantage as we get into the 75th minute here in Cleveland.
Well, we're not going to have to wait long, because in the 78th minute, cut number 6, Oscar Ustari, who arguably has been the best player on the Herons for 2 weeks now, makes an incredible save.
Arvston is on it. Arvston left side of the air. Got it on Falcone. Couldn't get any power on the shot, though. He did put it on goal, but Ustari, an easy save. And he goes to ground immediately to tick some time off the clock.
Now,
Oscar Ustari came into today 6th in MLS in save percentage. Almost 79%. That's done nothing but increase as this match has gone on.
To Ken's point, Oscar's been great. I thought that was a tougher save. He was near post. Dame, honest to God, I know you're never supposed to lose near a post. I also think it's very hard to defend against.
Yeah,
I really do. I think near post is harder to defend against than it gets credit for.
And the attacker always knows that if it's a near post, they're probably just gonna just absolutely rock it.
Right.
Top shelf.
Right.
Try to get it in between the keeper and the post, and it's usually a very, very hard ball. But like you said, keepers are very used to being in that position on the first post. It's always the rule: guard the first post if you're the goalkeeper in that position.
All right, folks, two more here, and this is the one that I think you're like, it's just not Columbus's day, and Inter's going to get 3 points here. Let's do cut number 5. This is the Rossi Gazdag connection where, I mean, if you're a soccer fan and you've been watching football as long as Damian Perez and I have had, it's like, how does this one hit the back of the net? D, cut number 5.
Rossi at the angle left side of the area. He sends in a low cross, and Gazdag nearly near post, right-footed it, sideswiped it into the goal. It leaks wide, right across the end line near post. And I believe it was Martinez for Inter Miami that got the final touch. No, it is off on Gazdag.
Yeah, and obviously, us broadcasters, we have tough looks at things sometimes. The replay played, I mean, Damian, the ball's on his foot. Ustari is beat. All he has to do is tap that thing with his right foot, and he completely botched it.
It's one of those where it's almost harder to miss than it is to make it.
Dude, it was an unbelievable miss. Like, to the point where, and I felt a little bad. Honestly, we'll take the 3 points all day long, Damian. I felt a little bad because it was his debut as well. You want to, like, Dame, you've played soccer at a high level. You want to make a splash on your debut game. You want to make that play that's going to put you over the edge. And at this point, it was the play to tie. But regardless, would have been a huge momentum shift with a couple of minutes left to go in the game.
Yeah, and to your point, as a striker, especially on a new team, you always want to get that first goal out of the way, so it's not kind of, like looming.
Right.
When is he going to get his first goal? He could have got it on his debut. Every new striker wants to get it on his debut, but nonetheless, you want to get that first goal out of the way early.
So let's wrap things up. This is our final highlight. The cut number 10, Inter Miami surviving in the 93rd minute. So that Gazdag miss, that Rossi Gazdag connection, that was in the 92nd minute. Here's the one in the 93rd minute.
Up the near right touchline. It's sent near side to far side on a cross, and it just missed Gazdag. It was coming up the middle, and it is across the end line, far post out of play. Inter Miami survives again.
So that, and after that, a minute and a half played out, whistle blew, and Inter Miami was able to escape by the skin of their teeth in that one and get the full 3. Dame, listen, as a football fan, as a true football fan, that's one of those games where you look back and go, God, thank God we won that one.
Yeah, thank God we
won that one.
We scraped it out. We got out of there with the 3 points because that could have very easily ended in a tie or even worse, a loss for Inter Miami.
That and that was, I thought, what it was on track for. 60,000 people.
I mean, whoever's tuned into the show right now, it was basically like 10 minutes of Columbus highlights.
Dude.
That's not because we singled those highlights out. We just had nothing else.
There was nothing else to go on. We had one shot on goal, and it was let's hear it. Dane, play it. The Benjamin Kremoski goal. What cut number? I'm throwing you on the spot here. Kremoski goal, cut number 4. Literally the only shot recorded on target according to the statistician.
Good ball, Suarez on the runaway guy. He got it. Right of the box, sends it, a beautiful cross, into the 6-yard box, a diving header goal, Ben Kremoski, how wonderful was that? We got the unlikely assist, Kremoski soaring into the play, and he beats Patrick Schulte, something out of nothing, and at the half-hour mark, it's 1-0, Inter Miami.
You like the unlikely assist.
That's what I was going to say. I love how he threw that in.
Because, so great.
He's kind of
so
right.
Funny.
Cello has never been he's never been the player that, shined putting it across in the box. It's normally been Ian Frey.
Correct.
But just to see Cello put that ball in, it was a beautiful goal.
And Cello's more defensive anyway, I feel like.
Yes, he focuses more on just being locked down.
He's a defensive wingback, I feel like, at the heart of things. But, folks, that was Messy Mania presented by our good friends at PNC.
It's time for a little Messy Mania on Pink Smoke, presented by PNC Bank. The latest match results, highlights, and everything messy starts now. Brought to you by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865. Learn more at PNC.com. PNC Bank, National Association member FDIC.
Appreciate PNC. I'll tell you what, Damian, I think Inter Miami, let's take a look at the kind of the glaring things after that game. I think Luis Suarez is going to have to start to figure it out a little bit. I'm not panicking. I think Suarez is going to be able to figure things out, but he's not been good lately. I think that's the elephant in the room. As an Inter Miami supporter, as someone who doesn't want to kind of throw everything in the kitchen sink out on the guy, he's been poor lately. He's been poor.
And to your point, he was kind of upset when he came out of the game against Columbus on Saturday.
Though, too.
It was the right move to take him out. Also considering the fact that we have a game on Thursday, the Conca Champions, first game against Vancouver. So obviously it's important to have our players rested and ready for that game. But I agree, So and I'm sure he agrees as well. He wants to see the ball go in the net. But I mean, he said it. He's 38 years old. He's been in these situations. He's been in these situations in Europe, which frankly is a tougher place to have these slumps in. So I'm sure whenever he does bag that first goal, it's up from there. And he did have an impact against Columbus because the ball that was sent to Cello, it was a long ball from the left side of the field all the way to the right. It's a great ball, was from Suarez. So he is doing other things to impact the game. But as a striker, you always want to see him be clinical in front of goal.
And obviously, Alan Abondo, folks, can play striker, the young Ecuadorian that was just purchased on loan. He is going to be able to play that striker position. Everyone goes back to that Toronto game, his debut. He had a chance in front of net, took a bad touch, and I think nerves got the best of him. Damien agrees. Fafa Pico, I think, is capable. I don't think you want him coming off the wing with his pace and his speed, but Fafa Pico could certainly play the striker position as well. You want to know what I think it is? I think it's tired legs with Suarez. He's playing a lot of games, man. This is an older player, and he has started every single game for the Herons so far.
And we saw it last year. Last year, he kind of, it was very similar. He did have a slow start to this season. So sometimes for players like him at the age where he's at, and also the issues that he's had with his knees, sometimes it takes a little bit more to kind of, get loosened up, I guess, and in shape or in playing form. So I'm not worried about it. Like we said, luckily we've gotten the results with Suarez in a slump, with Messi out with an injury. So, if those are the bad points of the season, quote unquote, I'll take it.
Why do you think that Ian Frey's kind of been out of the lineup? That's something I've been thinking about a little bit. Because you've seen Luan, even when Alba, Dame, I know he plays right side, Mascherano likes him on that right side, but even when Alba was out of the lineup, what was it, 2 games ago, Ian Frey barely had an impact on the game, and he hasn't been in the 11 the last couple of times. I thought, to your point, you and Elias Bustamante, you could hear both of you guys on the Deporte side. You could hear Damien with me on Saturday Tailgate as well. But you guys have been on the Ian Frey fan club, I think, more than anybody I've talked to about the Herons.
And I think it just stems to the fact that Cello Wingart was the starter to begin with. The only reason Ian Frey was playing because Cello Wingart got hurt. And it took him a little bit to get back in shape, get back in playing form. So Ian Frey did get his opportunities. But, I agree. I think Ian Frey, what he did with his opportunities warrants him more opportunities, maybe a few starts here and there. I know he's a younger player. Mm-hmm. He's had his injuries. I believe he tore his ACL twice already. So it is a player where you kind of want to, I guess, not burn him out early in the season. But nonetheless, what he did with his opportunities definitely warrants more opportunities, and I'm sure they'll come down the line.
And Gonzalo Luan, I love what Mascherano is doing because players like Gonzalo Luan, Noah Allen, Ian Frey, they can play multiple positions. Yes. They play center back. They play fullback. I like how he switched things up. And when let's call a spade as well. When Jordi Alba is in the attack, they're running 3 at the back anyway. They're running the Luan. Let's say on any given night, it's Toto Aviles at center back, Noah Allen at center back, and they got Luan at that right flank on the fullback side. Those 3 are managing and kind of patrolling and sheriffing the defensive end while Jordi Alba is up the field being dangerous in the attack, making his passing game. I think Mascherano, and he brought a lot of these transfers in too, so fair play to him on it. He had a style of football that he wanted to play. And Damien, I think Inter Miami, I know the 2 fixtures before the Columbus win, they weren't the results that you wanted, but they're still undefeated in MLS play. I think that's something to say about how great the manager has been this year too.
Yeah, and like you said, if you're a right back and you're a left back and you have that, green light to get up on the field, it's very important to have the players like Sergio Busquets and Yannick Bright. Yannick Bright has been another one who's just been an absolute general in that defensive midfield position.
Sheriff.
And just to have players like him and Sergio Busquets gives the left back and the right backs the liberty to just go up and know that somebody will cover their position when they do go up.
Yep. And my friends and I have a saying: when you play poor defense, Damien, Keystone Cops at the back. You familiar with that reference? So Keystone Cops are it's from a TV show, and they're they're fun. It's like a funny, comical thing. Look it up for us. It's an English term, but I die laughing every time I hear it. Inter Miami has been the exact opposite of Keystone Cops at the back. I understand that turnovers happen on this team, Dame. They do. turnovers happen on the team. But for the most part, they are sound defensively when other teams are trying to attack.
Especially compared to last year.
Correct. Most of the time, it's when one of the attacking players makes a bad turnover or something like, and I understand defensive players have made bad turnovers for the Herons as well. But I've been really impressed within MLS play with how well Inter Miami's played. And I understand Columbus had a lot of chances there, but they didn't score, right? There's something to be said about having a clean sheet up in Cleveland, Ohio, in enemy territory. Now, listen, with Lionel Messi on the pitch, it's hardly enemy territory, but you understand the point.
And I know you mentioned it earlier. Huge credit to Ustari, because Ustari had many, like this game, also in the last game, he had many opportunities where, it was literally him.
How long can he get? Can I look at it? 38.
Yeah.
He's 38. Dame, he's been taking hits too. Remember, what game did he have to come out of? Was it Philadelphia?
I believe it was
the
his
Union.
Calf. He kept on grabbing onto his calf.
And then they ultimately took him out against the Union, and Drake Callender came on in. He was down for a little bit against Columbus as well. He's been getting banged up. He's 38 years old. And I think that Drake Callender, a 27-year-old, would be able to step in and be serviceable as well.
Similar to the Ian Frey situation. That's another one where Callender was great last year. Callender coming into this year, nobody expected him to not play the way or not be on the field as often as he is, because frankly, he's been on the field. I think he has one appearance this season.
Mascherano said Callender was dealing with an injury. I want to take him for face value, but certainly Javier, Argentinian roots, was the coach of the youth teams for Argentina. He's got his guys.
Right.
And it seems like Ustari is his guy. That doesn't mean that Drake Callender shouldn't be ready for a big opportunity.
Yeah, and similar to Cello. Cello's, it seems that that's also his guy. He was the starter when Mascherano got there, so it's kind of like he kind of gave him that vote of confidence. As long as you're healthy, you're going to have to give me a reason to take you off the field. And that's what it's looking like. Similar to Ustari. Until now, there's really no reason to take Ustari off the field. He's doing great. He's saved us on 2 occasions. So I understand Callender, and he deserves to play. Callender can start any game of the week, but there's no reason to take Ustari off the field. So I'm sure that's why Mascherano's just going with what's worked so far.
So, folks, we have a CONCACAF Champions Cup coming up tomorrow night, 10:30. Brew up that coffee, Damian Perez.
Yep.
You and I love our black coffee. Brew up that coffee because it's a 10:30 start in Vancouver. CONCACAF Champions Cup, leg number 1 of the semifinal. Winner of both legs moves on to the championship. So, huge fixture coming up for Inter Miami tomorrow.
Very, very tough opponent in Vancouver.
Yep,
as well.
they've been the surprise team in the MLS, and they've been scoring goals at an incredible rate too. And then Inter Miami is going to be facing off at Chase Stadium against Dallas FC, 5 p.m. coming up on Sunday. We'll check out the injury report presented by our good friends at Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fromrath. We'll head around the MLS with our good friends at Audi later on in the show as well. But folks, this is Pink Smoke. We are presented by PNC. Taking a quick time out, coming right back right here on ESPN 106.3.
As market dynamics change, the quality of service you receive from your accounting firm shouldn't. Anshin Accountants and Advisors take the time to get to know you and your unique circumstances to help resolve complex issues and develop innovative tax and accounting solutions tailored to meet your goals. If you're a high net worth individual or business owner eager for a strategy to maximize tax savings, let Anshin deliver where others can't. Visit anchin.com. Anshin Accountants and Advisors, recalculating what's possible.
Hey, Steph Prince here, General Manager of ESPN West Palm, to tell you about a team that has meant a lot to me and this community for a long time. Bob and the team at Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning have been helping me stay cool for years, whether at home or in the office. And living in South Florida with 3 kids, I don't know what I'd do without them. Family owned and operated, serving Royal Palm Beach and beyond since 1980. Let the knowledgeable and trained team at Bradley help you with your residential and commercial needs, installation, repair, seasonal maintenance, upgrades of all makes and styles and models of HVAC equipment, and so much more. Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning does things right the first time and makes the process smooth, stress-free, and most importantly, keeps you cool. Give them a call at 561-793-7497. That's 561-793-7497 or bradleyair.com. Any need, big or small, trust the amazing team at Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning.
At PNC Bank, they pride themselves on being boring. But the truth is, they couldn't be more excited to serve the South Florida community. For nearly 160 years, they've quietly toiled away to deliver brilliant results for their equally brilliant clients. Now, their dedicated financial teams are ready to do the boring work to help you unlock your own brilliance. Let's see what boring banking can do for you. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
The Club at Lost Lake, a championship Fazio design golf course in Hope Sound. Golf and social memberships are now available with no waiting list and immediate access. The course and club will see over $10 million in capital improvements and is one of the best private club values in the area. Experience the beauty and challenge of this renowned course for yourself. Enjoy year-round access to exclusive amenities and events. Elevate your game, elevate your experience. Discover the Club at Lost Lake. Visit clublostlake.com to schedule a visit today.
While it's not always possible to see contaminated water coming out of the faucet, the taste is difficult to ignore. And what about plastics and pharmaceuticals now in the water? The team at Culligan is here to help. Culligan offers water testing and reverse osmosis systems designed to filter out those contaminants right at the source. Culligan has been helping the local community with water issues since 1936. Schedule your appointment today at Culligan.com.
Hey, Culligan man.
This is Pink Smoke, brought to you by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865. Here's Mike Rizzo.
Welcome back, folks. Pink Smoke on ESPN 1063, where we talk everything Inter Miami. We're presented by our good friends at PNC. And folks, at PNC Bank, they couldn't be more excited to serve the South Florida community. But you may be wondering, isn't PNC that boring bank? That depends. Is starting a business boring, or being the first person in your family to go to college boring? For nearly 160 years, they've done the hard and occasionally boring work of banking to deliver brilliant results for their clients. That's why they have dedicated teams throughout the local area all ready to do the boring work to help you unlock your own brilliance. Folks, see what boring banking can do for you with their good friends at PNC Bank. And also, PNC Bank prides themselves on being boring, but the truth is they couldn't be more excited to serve this community in South Florida. 160 years, folks. For 160 years, they've toiled away to deliver brilliant results for their equally brilliant clients. Now their dedicated financial teams are ready to do the boring work to help you unlock your brilliance. Let's see what boring banking can do for you. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC. And Damian, I say it every week, didn't have two pennies to rub together in college, Ohio State and Ohio University, respectively. My grandmother worked for PNC. Dame, she'd put in $30. I'd take my orange card, withdraw that. The boys and I would go out and have a night. Dollar beers over at $2. Dollar beers over at Red Brick.
That's the real MVP right there.
Oh, man. Grandma Carroll. Shout out Grandma Carroll and PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865. Dame, injuries. Injuries for Inter Miami is where we are going next. I mentioned we have the CONCACAF Champions Cup semifinal, leg number 1, coming up tomorrow night, 10:30. Vancouver and our Herons doing battle in Vancouver. A couple of the usual suspects on that injury list, but it's time to hit the Inter Miami injury report presented by Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Frauenrath.
Now it's time for the Inter Miami Injury Report, presented by Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Frauenrath.
And now a fight for it, won right back by Inter Miami.
Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Frauenrath, representing injured people and their families for more than 35 years. Visit foryourrights.com.
So, Dame, very weird. It's the first and only time I think you'll ever hear me excited to see somebody on the injury report, because it means that he's with the team, and that's Baltasar Rodriguez.
Yes, it took him forever, I feel like.
To get the visa, right?
To get the visa, to get registered. So, like you said, to see him on the team, I mean, it's not in the best circumstances.
No, it's not, but
it's glad to see him that he's here, he's touched land, and he's once he's back from that injury, he'll be available to play.
And Dame, you're high on this young Argentinian.
Yeah, very. I mean, anytime you get a player who's creative in the midfield, who can create, especially on a team where we have Messi and Suarez, who are older, and you would love to, when we get into the thick of it, give them the opportunities to rest. to have a player like Baltasar Rodriguez where he can still create on his own, he doesn't need to depend on a player like Messi to create, to be dangerous, I think that's a huge plus for a coach like Mascherano.
So David Ruiz also on the injury report too. He's still dealing with that hamstring. Federico Redondo, a newbie on the injury report. So last week, D, going into the Columbus game, the only one that was on this was David Ruiz. So Federico Redondo on the report. Baltasar Rodriguez, as I said, I think more good than not. That means he's with the team and practicing with the team. But Redondo is a little interesting there. He came on.
We didn't really hear much about this.
He came on for a little bit though in that Columbus Crew game,
yeah.
right? So,
yeah, and he left the game. He wasn't injured after the game, so this must have happened, in training or something.
Yeah. And then Ryan Saylor, it's the first time, similar to Baltasar Rodriguez, this is the first time I'm seeing Ryan Saylor's name pop up with the team at all. He's the young 26-year-old American center back who could be getting some time for the Inter Miami Herons coming up soon. As far as Lionel Messi, Dame, I like to talk about Messi here as well. Not necessarily injured, but it's always a question if he's going to play or not. I'm interested to see where you're on the spectrum. I'm at the point with the CONCACAF Champions Cup, he's going to play in every single game.
Yeah. I think up to this point, the priority is the CONCACAF Champions, especially in a game where you're going to travel. The away goal is important too.
Yep.
So if Inter Miami goes to Vancouver and gets one of those goals, it means more than what you think. Even if you, let's say, tie the game, that goal it's
right. You want an away goal.
In any case of a tie, that's the tiebreaker. So you want the away goal. That kind of puts you off at an advantage to start the series. But I agree. I think in these CONCACAF champions, they're the immediate championship. They're the international championship. So I think the priority right now is definitely the CONCACAF champions.
I can't stand that rule. I'm in the minority on it. Our good buddy that we hear on Pink Smoke when we play our friends over at LAFC, Dave Denholm, the lead play-by-play man for LAFC and ESPN LA, he likes the rules. Don't you like the rules? I think you like the rules, right? I'm going to put words in your mouth.
No, I don't, because I feel like it kind of encourages teams to, if they do get that goal early and they are the away team, it encourages them to kind of close up and just kind of take that result and finish the game 1-0. Let's just not concede.
It's not a fun brand of soccer to watch.
It's not the most attractive soccer.
At the same time, with Inter Miami, I think we're more worried about wins and losses than an attractive play, but I understand the point totally. But yeah, that is your injury report coming up for the Inter Miami Herons. Vancouver Whitecaps, Inter Miami, 10:30 tomorrow night in the CONCACAF Champions Cup semifinal. And folks, Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Frauenrath, if you're injured for over 35 years, Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Frauenrath have been taking care of injured people and their families. Hit them up, Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Frauenrath. So, Dame, heading into Vancouver, what do you think the message from Mascherano is going to be with this game? I think a couple of things. Number one, I don't think they want to have that slow start that they did against LAFC. That game scared me for a little bit. It did. And I know Inter Miami dominated the ball in the second half, Dame. LAFC scored that goal in, I believe, the 55th minute from Ordaz, a guy who probably shouldn't even been on the pitch. Neither here nor there, because he should have picked up a red card. Like I said, neither here nor there. But I think they want to start out fast. I think they want to start out fast on the road and make a statement and not be playing on their heels.
Yeah, and that's kind of the identity that Inter Miami should have with any team going into it. I feel like Inter Miami has the better players on the field, so it's kind of like you said, you got to start off fast. You can't give any of these teams kind of that. You can't give them life. If other teams see that they can kind of compete with you, then they're going to compete with you. If you come out and just put your foot on their throat from the start, get an early goal, and build on that, that's the best position Inter Miami could be in.
I love what you said there. Don't give them hope. Don't give them hope. And, I know this is football, folks, but the same is in football. Like, Dame, me being a Buckeye fan don't let a team that's not supposed to hang around in the game hang around and give them faith that they can stick around in the game. It's the same with football, and listen, give Vancouver credit, right? They have 20 points on that MLS table. They beat Monterrey, a very good Liga MX side, okay? I believe Monterrey is up there with most ever Gold Cup championships.
They were probably the heavy favorite to win the CONCACAF Champions.
So we need to give them their respect. And it's not that I'm not, but with the quality that Inter Miami has, and as Damian said, any team that the Herons play, they should try to jump all over on. Brian White, by the way, is the leading goal scorer for Vancouver within the MLS with 6. He's been great in CONCACAF Champions play as well. I think he is a name that we are going to have to be keeping an eye on coming up here tomorrow night at 10:30. But that is your Inter Miami injury report, as I said, presented by Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Frauenrath. Let's take a timeout. When we return, we'll go around the MLS. I mentioned that Vancouver still in first place on that Western Conference and the Supporters Shield. We'll find out where Inter Miami falls on the Supporters Shield, the Eastern Conference, and plenty of other teams coming up next with their good friends at Audi. Pink Smoke, ESPN 106.3.
Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Frauenrath, proudly representing the residents of South Florida since 1985, and proud supporter of Inter Miami FC on ESPN West Palm. Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Frauenrath has attorneys across South Florida ready to fight for your rights. They've recovered billions for their clients, and you won't pay anything unless you win your case. If you have been injured, call the attorneys at Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Frauenrath, 561-867-4117, or online at foryourrights.com. Main office in West Palm Beach.
The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV, it's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
Work Zone Awareness Week is a reminder to prioritize safety every time you drive. Road workers are out there improving Florida's highways, and they depend on you to slow down and stay alert. Speeding and distractions put lives at risk, yours and theirs. Let's work together to protect everyone on the road. Remember, when you see orange cones, safety comes first. This is a message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Transworld Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121 or visit tworld.com today.
Calling all sports fans, grab your MVP card and head to Duffy's where you can catch all of the action. Not an MVP? Sign up for free and start earning rewards today. Duffy's is voted the best sports grill year after year with their award-winning burgers and wings. Don't forget about Duffy's famous 2-for-1 drinks all day, every day. And with over 80 TVs in every location, you'll never miss a minute of the game. Visit Duffy'sMVP.com to learn more. Duffy's, our game is always on.
What would you do with an extra $700? You can earn up to $700 per year with Boost Checking from Flagler Credit Union. Boost Checking pays 7.0 annual percentage yield on balances up to $10,000. That's up to $700 extra to do what you love. Boost Checking from Flagler Credit Union. Requirements apply to earn the highest dividend rates. Limit one checking account per membership. Dividend rates and annual percentage yield subject to change. Business accounts do not qualify. Insured by NCUA, proud partner of Florida Atlantic University Athletics.
This is Pink Smoke, brought to you by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865. Here's Mike Rizzo.
Welcome on back, folks, to Pink Smoke. Our final segment here, taking you up until 7 o'clock. Did a little Messy Mania earlier in the show, presented by our good friends at PNC. And folks, our show is powered by our good friends and presented by our good friends at PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865. We went through the injury report presented by Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Frauenrath. If you've been injured, folks, for 35 years, Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Frauenrath have been taking care of injured people here in South Florida and their families for 35 years. Get on out to Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Frauenrath. We went through our injury report for the upcoming matchup against Vancouver in the CONCACAF Champions Cup semifinal game. Dame, I'm still nervous for that. I guess I'm buying in a little bit to the Vancouver hype. I think I mentioned I'm impressed with how well Vancouver has been in front of goal this year, specifically within the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So I think that's something we're going to have to monitor coming up at 10:30. I think I still have a bad taste in my mouth from recent road fixtures. I understand the Columbus Crew game, that was a road fixture, but the only loss Inter Miami has suffered on the year was that first leg when they lost 1-0 in the round of 8 in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So, folks, I'm going to be tuned in. I'm going to be tuned in coming up.
You know what this game is it's reminding me of the game before Philadelphia Union. Because before that game, the talk was how hot of a start Philadelphia Union was on.
Yep.
I believe they were first in the Eastern Conference. I think they had a lot of goals in favor with very little goals against. So very similar to that. Vancouver is in that similar position. They're at the top of the Western Conference. But this isn't a team where they have kind of, showed their that they are that team year to year. So this could just be a hot start that they're on. And maybe
and we've seen that within the MLS.
Yeah, we've seen it with Philadelphia, and the result was that Inter Miami kind of cooled them down. So I'm hoping that's going to be the same result against this Vancouver team. It's going to be a tougher game because the Philadelphia game was in Miami. This is in Vancouver, which I'm not sure, but it's probably one of the further places to travel to. So it'll be interesting in that aspect. But nonetheless, I think Inter Miami is a team who can cool anybody down.
Now, Dame, don't ask me about Canada. I think Vancouver is.
What's the weather like over there?
Cold.
It's cold, right?
I'm assuming. Listen, and now I'm asking you. I think Vancouver is above the state of Washington in the top.
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly where they're at, literally right
so
on
I'm
top.
assuming it's it'll get down to like 30, 40.
It's got to be a synthetic field.
Probably.
Artificial.
I mean, yeah, probably. But I think the weather's nice there right now. So one of my favorite shows, Arrow. Yeah, I know. It was filmed in Vancouver. So I'm pretty familiar with the skyline. It's a pretty cool city, Dame. But as far as the weather, I think it does get cold, but
It's 69 and sunny right now.
Yeah, dude. It's getting to the point everywhere outside of Denver. And if you're, not to flip sports, but I mean the Colorado Rockies, every home game is snowing that I see. So unless you live in Denver, you're good on the snow. Speaking of Vancouver, they're first place in the Western Conference. Let's go around the MLS with Audi.
Now it's time to go around the MLS, presented by your local South Florida Audi dealerships. Test drive the new Q6 e-tron today at your local South Florida Audi dealer, or visit AudiOffers.com to learn more.
That new Q6 e-tron is souped up and loaded, folks. Get out to your local South Florida Audi dealers. Test drive one today. You can also go online, visit AudiOffers.com to learn more. That is AudiOffers.com to learn more. And Dame, what's my famous saying? Pull into that lot at Chase Stadium and make a statement with the brand new Q6 e-tron. Vancouver, first place, Western Conference. Vancouver, first place, Supporters Shield. Vancouver, semifinals, CONCACAF Champions Cup. Hot start would be an understatement. I don't know if they have to Damien's point, I don't know if they have the quality to keep this up. But Vancouver, certainly the talk of this side of the hemisphere in soccer outside of our Inter Miami Herons, and they are in first place on that Supporter Shield and the Western Conference. Let's continue on that Western Conference. Dame, Austin FC surprising a lot of people this year with 16 points up to this point.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of been the theme this year. There has been some
Minnesota
unexpected
United,
starts. Look at on the opposite end of the spectrum, we got LA Galaxy, who's yet to find a victory. The defending champions yet to find a victory, and I believe they just played Austin FC.
They lost to the Portland Timbers their last game, but at the same time, 3 points in 9 games. This is the team that won the MLS playoffs last year. 3 points in 9 games. Unacceptable with the kind of quality that they have. Is the sacking in order?
Well, I don't know if you saw, there was, I don't know who it was that tweeted it, but they raised the question if it was time to sack the head coach. And Ricky Puig, which is probably the leader of the team, probably the most reputable
Barcelona
player,
player.
He came out, quoted it, and said no in big caps.
Okay, well.
That's it. Just no in all caps.
With all due respect to Ricky Puig, former Barcelona Youth Academy standout, you got 3 points on the table, bro.
Unacceptable.
I mean, for a team who wanted to win the Supporter Shield, the Western Conference, and the MLS Cup this year and compete within the CONCACAF Champions Cup, something you got knocked out of, by the way. I don't think it's up to old Ricky Puig over there with the LA Galaxy. But Vancouver first, Austin FC second, Minnesota United third, the Portland Timbers fourth, the Colorado Rapids fifth, San Diego FC sixth, and I think a surprise for me at least. Our sister station out there at LA, they carry the LAFC games. Dame, for them to have 13 points and 7th on the table at this point, I think it's a little eyebrow raising as well.
Yeah, LAFC, who's always found themselves at the top of that Western Conference, they've been very dominant in the last few years. So yeah, I agree. Just to see them there, very surprising. But at the same time, in the same breath, I feel like they have shown that they can still be at the top end. I think LAFC is showing that they're still a top team in that Western Conference. Even though they haven't found the results, they've showed it. That game against Inter Miami, they beat us 1-0 the first game. They're the only teams to beat Inter Miami this year. So I think they could turn it around. Teams like LA Galaxy, I mean, I would start panicking. Like you said, do you start
Is there a sacking in order?
You start wondering if that's the direction where they're headed in. I don't think LAFC is in that pool, but nonetheless, very interesting to see mid pack of the table.
Damian, ask me my favorite soccer term.
What's your favorite soccer term?
He's getting the sack. That's my favorite soccer term.
As a United fan, I mean, it's kind of
you had to go there.
It's what
you
you've
had to
done
go there. You had to go there.
Man, I had to.
Amorim's lucky that he's beaten Farmer League teams in the Europa League.
We've gone back and forth about this.
He can't win in the league, Damian. I don't care. You can't go 0-2 versus Crystal Palace and the Wolves. It's not allowed to happen at United. You can sit here and tell me that, Riz, United isn't what they used to be. They're not a good team anymore. I don't care. You don't lose the Wolves. You don't go 0-4 against Wolves and Palace and have 38 points on the table in May.
Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned United.
We're playing for a trophy still. I guess there's that, but forgive me for thinking Athletic is going to just wipe the floor. We really have, Damian, we have not played a team in that tournament. They have not played a good team in that tournament.
Only team undefeated in Europe. And that's Champions League and Europa.
Who have they played? Farmer Leagues? Leon? Stop it. Let's move on to the Eastern Conference within the MLS. How about Charlotte? Charlotte, who we saw earlier on at Chase Stadium, they have a former Manchester United Red Devil for about a week, Wilfried Zaha. Zaha been good for the club, but he's not been the only one that's been good for the club because they are tied for first place with FC Cincinnati with 19 points. They won their last fixture versus San Diego FC. They have won 3 games in a row. FC Cincinnati, the hottest team in the MLS. They have won 4 games in a row.
And I think up to now they had the best acquisition over the offseason in Evander. 7 games, 6 goals. He was great for Portland, and he's got Cincinnati at the top of the Eastern Conference. So good for them for getting that pickup over the offseason.
Cincinnati in their last 4. They've beaten Nashville. They've beaten the Revolution of New England. They've beaten DC United, and they beat the Chicago Fire. They got their next matchup coming up against Sporting Kansas City. Dare me and forgive me for thinking that that's going to be a win. Sporting Kansas City, one of the worst teams in the Supporter Shield. Inter Miami, 3rd place, 18 points. Our Herons have a game in hand, meaning they've played 8. Everyone else has played 9. The only other team within the MLS to play, actually 2 teams, apologies, got a couple. New England has played 8. Inter has played 8. And that's it. I'm sorry, I was looking at the Supporter Shield. New England and Inter Miami are the only teams who have not played 9 games up to this point. We are on to Week 10 coming up within the MLS. So if Inter Miami wins, Dame, keep winning. Keep putting points on the board and keep winning. Right. They have not lost within the league. They have not lost points yet at any point this year outside of 2 draws. 3 draws counting NYCFC and the red card by Toto Aviles.
And that's huge. In a competition where this is not a sprint. This is not like the Conca Champions where it's a playoff tree. You win or lose and get knocked out. This is more of a marathon. So just to have this hot start, to beat teams like Columbus in Columbus, I think it's a huge plus and a great start for Mascherano, which is his debut season with Inter Miami.
So Inter Miami sitting at that 3rd spot with the game in hand. The Columbus Crew with 18 points with 9 games played there in 4th, followed by Philadelphia and Nashville. That wraps up your top 6 right there. I mentioned that the Herons are going to have that CONCACAF Champions Cup coming up tomorrow night, 10:30 versus Vancouver. And then FC Dallas. Let's do a little scouting on FC Dallas as we go around the MLS where they're good friends at Audi. Dallas on the year is 9th on that Western Conference table with 12 points. They drew Minnesota United, who is 3rd on the Western table and has been pretty good all year. and they lost 1-0 to the Seattle Sounders. So little East versus West, Damian, coming up, and this is going to be a long flight for, I apologize, decent enough flight. FC Dallas. I was looking at Seattle, by the way. But regardless, a little Western Conference versus Eastern Conference coming up in match week number 10, and that is around the MLS with our friends at Audi. Get on out to your local South Florida Audi dealers. Test drive that brand new Q6 e-tron and pull into the lot at Chase Stadium in style with the souped up and loaded Q6 e-tron. Dame, at this point of the season, you got week 10 of the MLS. You got Champions Cup, Gold Cup action coming up tomorrow night. Where do you think Lionel Messi, where's Lionel's head at right now?
I think he's looking to win everything. I just don't see a reason why, with the start Inter Miami has had and the roster Inter Miami has, frankly, to not hope to win everything. I know the Club World Cup is kind of a long shot, but I mean, it's something that Inter Miami is not going to have too much pressure in that tournament, whereas in the MLS, they're kind of expected to win. CONCACAF champions, they're also one of the favorites. If you're asking me where Lionel Messi's head is at, it's definitely to dominate the MLS and win absolutely everything.
It is, and I think every domestic cup outside of the Club FIFA World Cup is realistic.
Yep.
And I think Inter Miami could even surprise a couple of teams in the Club FIFA World Cup. I'm not saying they're going to beat Real Madrid, folks, but what I'm saying is
house money.
I don't think they're an easy out. I don't think they're a team that those teams are going to take lightly.
The group is also very accessible. It's very manageable. You start, the first game is here in Miami. So, I mean, there's reason to have hope, not delusion, but hope.
Right, and that's why soccer is great, though. That's why football is great, because at any given time, any team can upset a team.
It's one of the only sports where the odds are always up in the air.
Who did Liverpool, for instance, FA Cup action, all right? They lost to Plymouth. Dame, I think Plymouth is in the 4th division of English football.
Yep.
And they lost.
I mean, look at
outright.
Leicester City winning a Premier League.
Right. In regulation, by the way. Did not go to extra time or penalty kicks. Plymouth won outright against Liverpool this year.
Atlanta last year beating Inter Miami second round of the playoffs. Who would have saw that one coming?
We don't want to talk about that.
Right. Still an open wound.
Folks, you hear that music? That means it's time for me to go. Sometimes friends have to go away, but a part of them stays with you forever. Remember that in this life. This was episode number 10 of Pink Smoke. You could go back and listen on Apple Music, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Our good friend Dame is going to be posting that after the show. Appreciate Damien and all the stuff he has done for us on Pink
Pleasure
Smoke.
like always.
We'll catch up with you next week, and everyone enjoy Vancouver and Inter Miami, 10:30 tomorrow night. We'll see you later. Bye.
Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fronrath, proudly representing the residents of South Florida